Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Wantrepreneur Wednesday. Well, I started this little mini series called Wantrepreneur Wednesday, where every week I've been interviewing different women entrepreneurs. And it's been a really fun ride so far. And uh, today I want to introduce you to a friend of mine. Her name is Dale Emmet. And Dale and I met years ago when our kids were little. We'd be walking our kids to school. And when they were in elementary school, now our kids are bigger. And Dale had reached out to me. What was it, Dale, a couple of years ago when you started
Yeah.
to tell me about this journey that you were thinking about going on? And has really just listened to I want to say a calling, right, Dale?
Oh, for sure.
So I'm going to introduce to you Dale Emmett. She is a spiritual director. Now, I didn't know what a spiritual director was before she and I connected. So I'm going to let Dale introduce herself and tell you what it is that she does.
Well,
Dale?
Patty, thanks for having me. My first Facebook Live, very exciting. You know what? I would say, like, there are different life coaches, there are different kinds of spiritual directors. And like you, I think I've always been drawn to the idea of fulfilling your potential. But the thing is, the meaning of that has changed for me over the years through my own personal journey. And I think my intention as a spiritual director, the word I would use now is wholeness. And what that means is really being able to integrate and find peace between the different parts of yourself and having access to all of your authentic ways of being and energies. And I really think that's the reason why so many people find themselves unhappy in midlife because they're incomplete and they're missing parts of themselves. And it's like you lose or you hide parts of yourself along the way. And spiritual direction is about reclaiming and rediscovering those lost parts of yourself. To me, that wholeness. And it's really, you may have heard of the hero's journey. It's taking that inner journey, doing that deep soul work to, again, reclaim your wholeness, those parts of you that you've left behind, and really who you were made to be and who you are authentically are. So for me, again, a spiritual director is like being a Sherpa or a companion on that journey. Um, it's because I've taken that journey myself. I know some of the inner terrain. I followed my own inner map. It doesn't necessarily mean that I know yours, but because I've undergone this myself, I can empathetically companion you and know what the experience is like. And really, spiritual direction is about supporting, witnessing, and listening with that person as they listen to their heart, to their spirit, to their soul, and where it is leading them. So things like practicing mindfulness, learning discernment, finding creative expression, and something that's been really important for me in my journey is dream work. Over
Oh,
the past 7 or 8 years, I probably have journaled. I've got to be over 1,000 dreams. But
wow.
so I think between that experience and having a very metaphorical mind, I can help other people find clues in their dreams, which are telling them, which are sending them messages of what's of their hearts.
Yeah. So so it's not really related to a religion, right?
It
Or
can
is
be. And like I said, that's why I think there's different kinds of spiritual directors. Certainly, there are many who are affiliated with churches. I know the Catholic Church has a very big spiritual direction aspect. But I'm kind of more out in the world. I mean, I am a Christian, but yet through my studies have learned from all wisdom traditions that I think I do draw upon and can relate to.
Mhm. So did you have to go through some kind of schooling or certification, or is it self-taught? Is this your own self journey that you then feel that you can share with other people?
I did complete a 2-year training program at the Hayden Institute in North Carolina. So I would go a few times a year for week-long intensives and then do a lot of my own study. And this went along again with my own journey because I really feel like being a spiritual director is something, again, I can only take people as far as I've gone myself. So I've had to really, I like to say I volunteered for the journey, but that's really not how it happened.
And so
I
how do
recruited.
you work with people one-on-one? Do you work with groups? Do you work, how do you facilitate your work?
I'm actually just starting the individual work. I would like to do some group like dream work groups because I think we all have things to add and to amplify that we hear in other people's dreams, which oddly sometimes relates like, wait, you're dreaming about my life. So there are things that we can reflect to one another that again help that awareness. And then of course I'm also doing the Everyday Deep group, which really is an extension of my spiritual direction work.
Okay, and that is something that I absolutely love.
Yeah.
Gail created this forum or this forum. I don't know how else I could describe it. How else would you describe community?
It's a community and creative forum.
Yes, and it is fabulous. And when I was writing the post about what today's interview was going to be about, I had mentioned she's creating a business and a community that women are craving. And the reason why I said that is because I've been going and it's once a month and I'm going to let her share what it is, but the follow through is that after at the end of the gathering, the women are they feel so filled up. They feel so alive. They just, I watch an audience like just perk up and tune in. And it's just a fabulous community that she's creating. And it has a feeling of little like mini TED Talks, but why don't you explain
Mm-hmm.
exactly what Everyday Deep is?
You're exactly right, Patty. We're like last time, I was so beaming because Patty was a speaker and was fantastic, and two other women. And it's really like I feel like I created the community that I wanted to be a part of, that I was seeking in my life.
Yeah.
And you're right, it is like mini TED Talks where women are sharing their authentic voices, their unique gifts, their passions, and in doing so, their guides and their energy and inspiring for other women to live their own lives more deeply and more fully. So you're right, after that last meeting, there is like a real energy and vibrancy. And it is about the content and about people sharing their stories. But half the time is also just about being in community. Because I think women being in community, that in and of itself, the intimacy, and it's just so important. So the two parts, come together.
Yeah, it's really cool. What was your why? Like, there's always a why. Everybody's got a why. What was your why when you were thinking about this type of a community?
Like I said, I really feel like it came out of my own heart. And I have said the heart knows before the head does, because I felt like this idea has been incubating for a long time, but I didn't really totally know what it was. Like the words everyday deep came to me a long time ago because I really am drawn to, it's not like your spirituality is over here and your regular life is over here. It's the idea that, passion and purpose and presence, like these aren't abstract ideals. Like, how do you live them out in your everyday life? Um, so again, I had done some writing and blogs and reached out to some people, and really it was giving something the proper time to incubate and then slowly taking action one step at a time, which you talked about last time, really following your heart one step at a time. But again, I would really underscore incubation and action, kind of that seed in the soil idea.
That is so key. That is so key. And that whole idea that you don't have to have a business strategy written out ahead of time. That
Right,
you don't need to know that how. You just need to keep taking that next best step. And I
right,
think the term incubation, that's such a great term for that process that you go through when you think you want to do something. It's
right.
definitely an incubation process.
Well,
So
because you incubate, but then as you take action, it helps reveal that next step, or you step into something. I've never done public speaking, you know, putting together a women's community. There were so many things I had not done that frankly did frighten me. But the part of me that so wanted to be those things and be a part of those things really helped me walk through and have the courage to do it.
that's awesome. That's awesome. And it shows because your confidence level on when you're talking just beat.
Oh,
So let me ask you, okay, you go from, were you a stay-at-home mom prior to that?
I in the past, I've been an entrepreneur several times. I had a business with my brother where I had to learn how to create catalogs and websites, and I've been a freelance writer and created products. And so I've done different things over the years, but a lot of them, when my kids were little, I would do a lot of my like design work at night when they were sleeping and, that kind of thing.
Yeah, right. Where now it's a business, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yes.
what's been your biggest challenge jumping into this entrepreneurial world where it's not just a hobby, but a business?
Um, you would give me the question. So I did know that question. And actually, what had occurred to me, because I am very entrepreneurial by nature, and I am very take action, make it happen. Um, Being a spiritual director and doing this has been calling on a very different part of myself, which is again bringing in that whole idea of wholeness. I had to call on other parts of myself. And so in this, the idea of unfolding um, was just elementary because I couldn't like come up with, like you said, a business plan to be a spiritual director. I had to become healed and whole to help others become healed and whole. And I know you've said the same for you. You needed and wanted to be a positive person. You had to become that yourself before you could tell other people. And as you know, it's an ongoing thing. It's not like, oh yeah, I'm done now. I'm healed and whole. It's an everyday deal. But putting the work in, and again, becoming and the process of becoming. Because for a spiritual director, and like with what you're doing, Patty, you have to walk that walk with other people. You have to go through that process of becoming yourself to see the process of becoming in another person.
That's right. And then you have to then become your own testimony,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Your own walking testimony.
Right.
Tell me, hi Sharon, hi MJ. I hope you guys are tuning in and getting some great insight as far as MJ's kind of along the same lines of this type of work. So tell me, what's the one thing that you absolutely love about being an entrepreneur?
I think especially now, maybe being in midlife, I'm able to use my past experience and my gifts and talents to now be in service to other people. I think right now that's really what it's all about for me. And as an entrepreneur, you're not in a job and you're fitting yourself into someone else's job description. I mean, like you said, what I'm doing now is kind of like putting on a mini TED Talk event every month. So I'm the creator, the curator of the speakers, the topics, the ideas, the themes, the meetings. I'm using to so many different parts of my experience and talents You know, I was a reporter in the past for the doings, by the way. Did you know that about me? And was a freelance writer. And so I've always loved getting the story. So like when I interviewed you and other people before the event, like I love figuring out what your story is and then even reflecting that back to you that, and then you're of course sharing with other people. All of my marketing and design work, I had to do the website, all the marketing materials, and now of course spiritual direction, you know, creating a sense of holding and community, and supporting and encouraging women. So I'm just loving how it's all coming together.
Yeah, that's cool. What is advice that you'd give to another woman contemplating what's next for her? Whether
Um,
she was wanting to do something, what would be your advice to her?
you know, I would say, and I know there's a lot of quotes that are like, you know, find where your joy intersects with what the world needs. And I think that's so true, but that can also be kind of overwhelming, like what the world needs, you know? But you know where it starts? It's what you needed. And again, you and I can both say that you needed positivity. I needed wholeness. Other people maybe needed health or hospitality or whatever. But it's kind of like, you know, be the peace you want to be in the world. You know, be the peace you want to be first, or be, again, fill in the blank what you need and want to be and brings you joy, and share that with the world.
That is such a great that is such a great message. That is so spot on, because so many times I know even with my own past, I was trying to promote or sell something else, something outside of myself.
Right,
And
right.
it wasn't until I tuned inward
Hmm.
to find out what the gifts and talents were that I needed to then share versus looking over here for something to
Yep,
share. So
exactly.
really, yeah. Okay, one more question. Best mistake you've ever made?
Okay.
It
Um,
could be business or life. Let's just say that.
does a midlife crisis count as a because really, I think the mistake in the way I was living, I was really, I mean, my extreme one-sidedness is what led me to my spiritual, sorry, to my midlife crisis, which of course then led me where I am now. But the problem is that I had thought of potential as really being only an onward and upward thing. So it was about achievement, being overly idealistic, perfectionist in my head. That left me very out of touch with my body, feeling grounded, my instinctuality, you know, my deep feelings, other people. So, you know, the scales just tipped way too far. And like I said, I'd love to think that I was enlightened enough to make this choice, but it was really by being broken down that I think I was able to build back up into, again, who I really am and what I'm here for.
That's awesome. Okay, Dale, we're going to put your website and the Everyday Deep website in the show notes. And if why don't you tell the audience how they can get in touch with you, or do you write a blog, anything, how to keep up with you or get in touch with you?
You know, I'd love for people to go to the everydaydeep.com site, see what the group is about. If they'd love to join us, we'd love to see them. Um, you can contact me there, or we have a Facebook group, or send me a friend request.
Sounds great. Well, thank you so much
Thank you, Patty.
all for taking a minute out of your Wednesday to check in with Wantrepreneur Wednesday. I will be back here live next week. Have an amazing day.
Thanks, Patty. Thank you, everyone.
Dale.
Bye bye.
MJ. Thanks, Sharon. Okay. Can you hear me?